Hey everybody, this is the BAM podcast. We are back from our little hiatus. I know, sorry about that, folks. We had to take a little break, our little hangover from our Independence Day celebration. So, enjoy coming back. Welcome to the pod. If you haven't seen us, this week we're gonna start it off with our 5 minute bangers, quick hitters, and then we'll reach into our big topics of the week. This week we'll have Adam start with the hitters, and then we'll go from there. And then once we get the hitters, we'll go to our main topics of the week. All right, Adam.
All right. So as we start, we're gonna just do one item story. BAM 360. China asked banks to fund housing projects amid mortgage back boycotts. So China banking regulators has asked lenders to provide credits to eligible developers so that they can basically achieve buying homes. That's a summary. I think they're just trying to put money into the economy to recover from what occurred last year. All right, Matthias.
What do you think, Matthews?
Oh, nothing. I was just looking at that story exactly.
The
But
irony.
yeah, I know it's quite interesting. Um, I think that is interesting, especially since their banks are mostly they're under a lot more scrutiny from their government than the banks here in the US. And the government asking banks to fund housing projects is not surprising.
All right, for me, I think that because the China's economy is very getting hit with their COVID protocols, they need to pump in some money into their system, and this is a great example how try testing millions in the city, a population of millions of people every day. It's gonna take a toll. So, Matthews, what's your quick hitters for this week?
I have something on the culture front.
Ooh.
Immersive art exhibits are money minting machines, and Monet is next, it says. This is from Bloomberg. Uh, um, I don't know about you guys. Last year, I went to the Van Gogh exhibits twice, one with friends, one with siblings, and it was quite expensive, but I didn't expect it to be that much of a making machine. And according to this article, apparently the Van Gogh experience made about $250 million in North America alone. And this year, they're trying to duplicate that experience with Monet. What do you guys think?
I could start off. That's actually pretty crazy numbers. I think it might have been inflated because everybody want to go back to normalcy and do something. So maybe that could be one of the reasons why. But I don't think those numbers can be repeated because everybody's now doing things post COVID. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Adam.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just trying to start something. That's it.
Matthews.
Look,
So you went to the thing. Like, did you like it or like?
I really liked it, but at the same time, I just wondered if it would have been better to see it at a museum when, I don't know, at some point they bring it to one of the local museums, like not all of the Van Gogh artworks, but a select few that they usually bring, like from famous artists. But this one was really fun to look at and enjoy because it just sparked conversations with people that I normally don't get to have about arts and famous artists. And I think in that way, I thought it was valuable. And I got a couple of things that came with the ticket, like extra stuff. So that was also worth it, I think.
Cool, cool. I'm glad you had a fun time, man. Sounds exciting. I don't like those kind of so I'll pass. All right, for my topic this week, hey yo, the dollar equaled €1. What are your thoughts, man? That's crazy. Haven't seen that in ages, my lifetime at least. Adam.
I think it's great. Mostly because equivalent to a global currency. Stability is great, right? That's
I
it.
think it makes traveling from here to Europe, at least Eurozone countries, cheaper. And I think that's great if you're planning on traveling. I don't have any plans to travel while stays equal at the moment, but it would have been fun to anticipate it and plan accordingly.
Do you guys think it's because of the divest from European loans, and then they're moving to U.S. dollars instead, and that's the reason why the euro is going down?
Uh, I honestly think I don't know. Like there's 20% VAT in European countries. Goddamn.
Estimated 20%. It varies. Yeah.
But I think that 1-to-1 ratio is pretty good in regards to just pumping up more dollars in their reserves. So having that 20% VAT for the government, especially for France, like I don't know, like it's like equivalent to traveling to Florida, I guess. You have a whole bunch of sales tax, maybe less. The flights are still expensive because uh, jet fuel is still high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're gonna hit to our big topics of the week. Thanks for hitting us with the bangers, Adam and Matthews. We're gonna go in deep discussion of our topics. Matthews, I'll let you go first this week. What topic do you have for us this week?
I think this is a little more doable. Volkswagen is to keep the factory running in Xinjiang. I don't know if I said that name properly. According to this Wall Street Journal article, some of its insurance has been pulled, and some of the unions that have a seat at the table on the board of Volkswagen have advised that the company also pulls out of Xinjiang, but the company is still keeping at it and has said that it is workers are not forced labor workers, and there has been a proof. It says that it's based on self-declaration, so that makes it hard to prove that they're not forced labor. But it said it will keep it open, and from my vantage point, I think that is. I guess it's a matter of a trade-off. What's the cost to the company keeping the factory in that region of China going versus what's the cost if it pulls out and offends the Chinese government? And I think since China is an emerging market with a rising middle class, I think the company cannot afford to offend the Chinese government. And I think it's just a matter of choice for the company, and they chose to stick it out for now. What do you guys think?
Matthews, I would like to question your thought about China as an emerging market. I don't think they're an emerging market. Emerging market, but like Singapore, Sri Lanka, and such, they're like top 5. So I don't consider China as an emerging market. That's just me, and that's my thoughts on that specific part.
Well,
But
I guess
you can respond.
I think it's still considered emerging market in the like, I don't know, financial literature and those circles. But I see your point. They're the second largest economy in the world, and I think it raises a question on what are the metrics to consider a country or an economy an emerging one. And I think that is definitely a discussion for it makes for a great discussion. But do you guys think other companies would follow suit, or in terms of sticking it out in China? Or what are your opinions on this one?
I think honestly, it's whenever they do all that stuff, it's just FDI, foreign direct investments. And when it comes to them taking it out, like Chinese government's great, market's great, but it's just how the company looks at FDI. Is it efficient to compete with brands in China currently. Is Volkswagen, in terms of IP, can be able to compete with like whatever they're mimicking, because the laws over there in terms of property rights is not the same with the United States. So is the FDI worth it for companies like even Tesla or even Ford?
Tesla has a different kind of
It's
worms, but let's
no,
continue.
it's just FDI, how they approach your FDI, and it's one thing where you can try to compete with the culture, and another thing where the culture just doesn't work for you. So in this case, it's the latter.
In my thoughts of this, to be honest, if you look into what we have in Mexico, it right now they look like a better partner for manufacturing. They're cheaper labor. Why,
Shorter reach to major markets of
Yeah.
the US and Canada.
yeah, and if you're Volkswagen, if they're just really basing off of their US sales, it's better for them tax wise to just have in Mexico. They have a better price advantage there compared to in China. So it's interesting that they did that move, but probably because probably there was too much risk to go away from China, maybe that they don't want to take that risk on from their existing manufacturing to what they could have. It's not like they have money like Tesla where hey, let's build that 5 billion or X amount of billion plant in Texas, which it's
So
looking good for them.
well, like it's funny you brought up Mexico, because the first thing that I think about is Vietnam. Like Vietnam's a close neighboring country, and it's like in terms of your clothing brand, it's it's there in terms of producing stuff. So like in terms of FDI for Vietnam, I think that might be a better choice if they can't compete in China. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just, and essentially we're all saying there are better options now these days.
I agree.
All right, Adam. So you're up next. What's your topic for the week?
So, as you guys have known, Elon basically backs out a deal, and now he's trying to reject the courts expediting Twitter move to basically just that he violated the contract. Well, I think they're basically everyone's lawyering up and see if they can find like a loophole within the deal. And in this case, I don't know. Like I think it's pretty crystal clear. He's been laying down the breadworks for months, and it's I think it's the fact that the capital was kind of contingent on the share price of Tesla, and how the market conditions were kind of really bad. Like he doesn't have the money anymore. That's the problem with how people are valuing wealth is based upon market price. So if a lot of people are saying Tesla's stock's not worth it, and they are saying it now, he doesn't have that money anymore. So $1 billion go bye Elon.
That's well, I think under the existing SEC rules, if you make an offer and promise to buy and back out of the deal, you get the fine. So I think they will sue him. They can't force him to buy it if he doesn't have the money, but
yeah. Talk about a deal of a lifetime.
I know they can't force him to buy it, but they can bring him down for some fine money, and I think he can afford to pay and stay out. But I think had he had the cash to purchase, and there, say, I don't know, the total worth of Twitter went down by 10%, and he had to pay $1 billion to renegotiate that deal, I think he could have gotten some like value for himself, but that's not the case, unfortunately. This is just the case of I don't have the money, you can't force me to buy it, but I'll have to pay the fine. kind of thing. And it's interesting. It's a real life experiment.
Me read between the lines. I see some things. I said mentioned this earlier. He mentioned Elon mentioned that he was kind of wary about the business plan of Twitter as they he asked a question to Twitter to see, what's can you measure how many bots or of the accounts were created, right? They said they do, but then at the end of the day, they didn't give him like a really concrete answer. So he was wary of, seeing, hey, it probably was like a negotiable tactic to kind of probably kind of go through and negotiate the price of it a little bit more, because he probably at once he got some more detailed information that we don't probably have, the
Mhm.
public financial papers, then he probably looked into it. He's like, yeah, it's not gonna probably work for him. So he's probably looking for other avenues for an excuse, right? But I think also number one, if he don't have the money, he can always go to lenders. And I think right now, the banks they're just not willing to loan a lot of money. Um, it's too much a risk for them right now, especially with how the markets are going. They don't want to probably give out that kind of money if he needs that kind of loan from the banks.
And besides, I don't think Twitter is a good business to begin with. Like, if you look at their financials, I think their profit last year was about $300 million. That number could be checked, just FYI. But and $300 million, and what he offered was 50 or 40 some $billion. I don't have 40.
46. 46.
The
There you go.
the
So
thing
that is
is,
just more
I don't
than,
know.
yeah, it's just not worth the business as a whole is not worth that much
How
as it currently stands.
I mean, like initially, like he made a mistake to just even want to go publicly with that information. And then the second thing is like regardless of loss, you can still do a valuation model even just by cash flow. Like with tech, they love losses. That's basically a tax shield. Whereas if the business has like a lot of cash coming in every single month, that's a freaking solid business, especially if you just made it private. You basically have your own, like cash machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his
like
plan. Yeah, that was his plan to
yeah,
go make it private. Really, that was
yeah,
his
and
plan.
and then he could do whatever he wants with the cash because that's the whole business. But I think if he's trying what I don't want to speculate because it's just at this point it's be a rumor mill. But if he basically just like back at a deal, Twitter shares falls, forced, and then he's trying to elongate the process, and then he has another LLC or another company that buys the share from the market at a lower premium price. That right there, that's very like illegal, right? But the fees for something like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it'd be a smart move because like that then you could have another holding company that is like 3 times of a separation that pull the rug underneath from them. But I mean like that's one tactic that he may or may not use. Otherwise, like I think it'd just be not prudent for him to just basically be like, you know what, here's $1 billion because I don't have the stone to pull the trigger, and that's gonna hurt him a lot. So there's a lot of his reputation being riding on this. So
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, it also really hurts Twitter's reputation too. They really tanked this week. It was pretty bad. Like, what Matthews mentioned, their performance from the 10-year, if you look at the graph, it's kind of flat. They came back to where they're at from when they were IPO'd. That's crazy. Like, this kind of gives you a thought that they do need a new direction as a CEO potentially, because it seems like the CEO wants to leave and focus on other things, but I guess the board probably won't let him leave.
one of the stuff that I was like looking like last week, even maybe I think it was Friday, was owner's withdrawal, right? For an LLC and everything like that. And like I was just like thinking like if the every shareholders in Twitter wants Elon to pay 1 billion because that's basically a cash like bonus for everyone, right? Divvy it up per percentage that you own of Twitter. That's just thinking about that, just like, maybe it is time to buy some Twitter shares.
Actually, I'll correct myself. The company's gross profit last year was 3,279,972, and the net income for the company, I guess net loss, is 221,409.
Sweet carryover losses,
So it's
tax breaks, baby.
it's a loss. Yeah. Well, yeah. So and the cash flow for net cash flow last year was 212,489. Well, actually, that's not true. That's just from the
Quarterly.
financing activity and the investing activity, 52,000, and
How much is it
from
from a loan?
from operating, actually from operating 304 million, and from investing it was 52 million, and from financing it was 212 million. So the cash flows are actually somewhat all right compared to
How much are they
the income.
leveraging right now?
I'm
Leveraging
not
their debt.
sure.
Because Apple and Amazon, they leverage a lot of debt because they have the money and they can take the risk for that
So
minimum amount.
so Twitter free cash flow for quarter end of 2022 was basically $1 million a year over year. And the free cash flow for 12-month ending, uh, let's see, annual for 2021, yeah, there was a decline. And then 2020, it was, yeah. So basically, it looks like they had a huge, it's like a bell curve starting from 2016 to 2020. Yeah, like 2021 basically hit them a lot, for obvious reasons.
That's a significant change. It was from 1,556,000,000 to 304.
Yeah,
That's
and here's the thing, right? You get like if you see that type of bell curve, like if you're going investing, you got to ask yourself, well, what did they do with that money? Did they reward the shareholders? Did they invest in like other stuff? Like that's one thing that you got to ask when you're an investor. Anyways,
Yeah,
B.
interesting. I got a good topic for this week. All right, guys. So this is my topic of the week. It will be a news article from New York Times. It's like it was a poll for information. I thought it was a good topic for us because we all work from remote mostly. So the topic for this week will be how has the remote working changed your relationships with your colleagues? For me personally, it gives I don't have the the personal relationship talks as much as I used to have, right? So it's mostly work-based questions and questionnaires on Microsoft Teams. It's more, I feel like it's more efficient. I don't go into the BS talks and fun stuff, so I just do more work and more efficient. So for me as a worker, being efficient is key to get things done. But the day-to-day get to know someone, small talk and such, it does go away. And the opportunity to meet, like, just walk around and see your CEO, say hi, or your other directors or such from the exec level, ELT. You don't have those small talks anymore, but they are reachable via Teams. So it's a give and take for me. What do you guys? Matthews?
I think the way I see it, yes, you get your tasks done a lot quicker. Not tasks done quicker.
Someone took a little leak over here. We're not cutting this out, by the way.
Oh my God. You get your tasks done quicker, and but the aspect of work that occurs by learning by osmosis, like you go around, you chat with your coworkers, and they raise a question, you explain something, or you raise a question, they explain something. The learning by osmosis that happens when you're around other people, that just completely goes away. And it depends on your field, of course, but I think in my situation, a lot of that went away, and you can artificially generate it by setting up a gathering, a meeting every couple of weeks, every month, things like that. But that aspect of work is also just as important, depending on your field. And there, for example, I've heard from lawyers that some of the senior lawyers not getting a chance to mentor the younger attorneys has been a problem for them. And even in tech, some of that problem has resurfaced. But there are other jobs where you can get away just working remotely. So it depends on your industry, your field. And I think the aspect of being around other people who are in the same profession will remain important, but may not require being around other people for 4 to 5 days a week going forward, is just my assumption.
Adam, with your little
Ah.
sippy there, what you got?
God, I love scotch. It all depends because all the tech is going to agile. So basically peer to peer is the last step of that whole entire thing. So that's kind of like relinquished in terms of it. But I work a lot, and it's ridiculous at the amount of like hours I work. And I don't like attending meetings because it just takes away so much time. And I like this, even when we're in the office, we're still Zooming calls and whatever, not actual Zoom call, Teams calls, Skype and whatever. And the reasons for that is because while I'm like attending the meeting, I'm also doing work as well. And like when you do that in person, it's so rude, and you don't want to do that. But like having it kind of remote is pretty awesome. So I highly encourage working from home. I
agree.
honestly think it's more productive, to be quite honest with you. And also, I mean, it's bad for us because we can't cut us off. Like once you're in the office and you leave, you can just be like, oh, I'm done at work. But once you're working from home, it's like all of a sudden, you start at 8, and then you're still up at like midnight, just solving the world's problems.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
So,
Like the physical cutoff, it's like it makes
yeah.
you like cut your mind of work. But then you're at home, you feel comfortable, you're still working. That switch is so hard to take off.
Yeah.
Like I struggle with that for these past first COVID years. And then, at the end of the day, I was like, man, I'll just manually just shut it off, force reset every time. It's hard, man. I don't know how
Yeah.
you guys did it, but yeah, it took me forever to kind of figure that part out personally. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Thanks for sharing your stories with that. That's awesome. We're not hating going back to work, physically, but it's more efficient for me. Less distractions for me, and it's awesome. We kind of go through. And I'll
Yeah,
call and in all honesty too, it does add to the point where there's need to have like different enhancements of knowledge transfer. And that's one thing that it kind of forced to have
Yeah.
other companies to have.
Like actually one-on-ones. Whereas like
Mhm.
if we're in the office, it's like, oh hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How's your weekend? Oh, let's do that training now. Whereas like, okay, well, I have 1 hour to teach you everything.
Yeah. For reals. That's so true. All right. So we're gonna end off our week with our end of thoughts. So Adam, I'm gonna leave it to you first, and then we'll end off with me.
So that VAT tax, completely wrong. Everywhere else in in Europe is basically 20%, and in Florida is 6%. So it's actually really cheap to go to Florida. I'm not hating on Florida. I do love your beaches. I do love Disneyland. World. Sorry, I know some people get mad. But yeah, like the VAT tax, if it's a 1-to-1 ratio, you're basically paying, a $1.20 everything there plus the fuel costs. So that's one thing that I was wrong. So make sure you budget very properly, especially during this inflation season. Hopefully it ends. Cross finger, July of 2023, if not October 2023. That's basically like when the predictor is expecting for a cool off. Um, Hopefully, if they don't gauge, you know, the whole recession and just pop the bubble, uh, that time frame obviously is gonna go a year or two after. Yep, that's my last thoughts.
Matthews. Yeah.
Um, uh, yeah, that forecast is very interesting. For me, my last thoughts is it just goes off the Citigroup's profit reporting that they released last week, and the CEO of the bank said we're going to expect a recession, but it will be far less damaging than the ones in recent memory, saying 2008. So, and that was backed up by heads of other major financial institutions. Um, I think that gives me a little bit of hope and optimism. But I understand that they have their own interest in saying that. But I think that I think optimism is um, desired, not warranted, but desired at this point, since every news that you receive about the economy, the state of finance, um, the country, not just the country, actually, around the globe, to be honest. Just look at Sri Lanka, right? Is very negative. And if we can expect a very small and shorter recession, I think that's wonderful. That's my last thought.
It sucks that we didn't talk about Sri Lanka. That was a really
Yeah.
good topic. I've been hearing podcasts throughout other weeks. They talk about it like crazy, how they did it so wrong, X, Y, Z. But we got there. We can dwell on that next time.
Yeah.
My topic for the week that ended off with ending thoughts. I'm waiting personally for used car bubble to pop. Man, oh man, like, woo! I'm been into I'm a emerging buyer, and the prices are crazy. Like, it's insane right now, especially with the interest rates for them. And I looked at a minivan because I have kids, 2 girls, and then I looked at the 2023 or 2022 van, brand new Sienna. That thing's like 50K. I'm like, what in the world is this? Like, not worth 50K with, like, I haven't really personally see like what the interest rate is if you do get a loan for that price. But imagine not having like a 0% loan, because I'm assuming I don't think they'll offer that now these days. So imagine put like 3 or 4% on that. Yo, that would take a punch, because you do the math. You're spending at least 1,100 a month just on a car. Not even talking about mortgage, which is like another amount. Like, and once it's pop bubbles, and people get the cars get towed, and you know I'm coming for you. Cars. Coming. Let's go.
I think the next one we should talk about that. I just recently got a call from one of the dealers saying our inventories are up. I was like, oh great, coming 2023, so everything goes down.
For real. Yeah. Like, right now they know that it's coming. It's gonna come. The supplies can come back. All they're waiting for is those chips and labor to come back and come do some cars, but they can control that themselves. So yeah. That's our episode for the week. Please like, subscribe, comment, see what you want us to talk about. We're gonna add some probably fling to it next week. So next time, be prepared We're gonna shot it up next week.
We'll take shots. Shots.
Shot.
Yo. All right, everybody. This is the Adam, late Sunday boy, and Matthews, the Ethiopian Prince. We're gonna call it a night. You guys have a good rest of the evening, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.